The sport Coco Gauff strongly felt she could have competed at the Olympics in other than tennis. Coco Gauff could have gone down a very different path in her life. Gauff has already won 2 Grand Slam titles in her career, having won the US Open in 2023 and the French Open in 2025. These victories have enabled Gauff to be named the highest-paid sportswoman in the world right now. As well as tennis, Gauff also enjoys watching basketball, but it was another sport that she thought she could have been an Olympian in. Coco Gauff said she could have been an Olympic athlete. Gauff made her Olympics debut in Paris, where she was handed the big honor and responsibility of being the flag bearer for the USA. The tennis itself did not go quite to plan for Gauff, but she did get to spend a lot of time with athletes from a variety of different sports. Gauff's next tournament after the Paris Games was the Canadian Open, where she claimed that she thinks she could have been an athletics Olympian had she chosen to go down a different path. She also revealed that Olympic 100m champion Noah Lyles told her that he saw her as a hurdler, with Gauff telling her father that she would like to actually try a race during the tennis off-season. "Yeah, I actually do, and I do feel like I could have been. I don't know if I would have been as good as I was in tennis and track, but I strongly feel like if I would have trained I could have been an Olympian," Gauff said in her press conference. "Track is the only sport I would say that in, just because I did do well in middle school like never training, I didn't go to one track practice, and I won all my races except 2, and both were against the same girl and she was in 8th grade. Yeah, my mom said too, she ran track at Florida State, so she was like, I think 400 would have been my race." Noah Lyles said he saw me as like a 400 hurdler, but I'm like kind of scared of hurdlers, so yeah, I don't think I would have been like that, laughing, but definitely 400 or longer would have been my thing. "I do wish that, sometimes I'm like, what could have happened? I even talked to my dad about putting me in some local track meets in the off-season, just for, laughing, just for the fun of it, just to see where I could go. I think I do want to do that. I do, maybe one off-season, just run a race. It doesn't hurt, I wouldn't train much for it, but just to see what my time would be pretty cool. I never ran out of blocks before, so I guess I would have to learn how to do that." The 4 American athletes who Coco Gauff said inspired her at the Paris Olympics. When speaking about some of the athletes that she had been inspired by, Gauff named 4 Olympic champions: Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone, Tara Davis-Woodhall, Gabby Thomas and Sha'Carri Richardson, and went on to reveal what she learned from them. "Yeah, it gives me a lot of inspiration," said Gauff. "Seeing Sydney and then Tara, she won the long jump, and then, Gabby Thomas winning the 200 and Sha'Carri winning silver, just so many people that I got to talk to. It definitely is inspiring, just seeing how all of them went through respective downs in their careers and to be able to, find it, and each of them going through different mental and physical challenges. So, yeah, it does inspire me, and just also it puts perspective to, of my age. Like, a lot of them are 24, between 24 to 27 range, so I guess it puts it into perspective sometimes, you want things to happen now. I think I just learned to just trust in my training and trust in the journey, just with talking with them and learning about their stories. Sometimes when you do well young you just, want everything to happen now. All of them at some point did well young just because they're so good, but I just learned to trust the journey and trust maturity, and just your game is going to reach its final form in a few years. I'm 20, so hopefully by like 24 I'm there," laughing. Gauff will be hoping to use these learnings for the next Olympic Games in Los Angeles, where she is likely to be a huge fan favorite for the tennis events. Before the roar of center court, before the weight of a racket resting in her palm, there was another rhythm that lived quietly inside Coco Gauff. The rhythm of feet striking a track. It was a sound that never made headlines. No cameras followed it. No trophies glittered at the end of it. Yet it was there, steady and persistent, like a heartbeat that never forgot its original tempo. In middle school, the track didn't ask Coco for perfection. It didn't care about rankings or endorsements or expectations. It only asked one thing: how fast can you run when you stop thinking and start trusting your legs? She ran without overthinking, without rehearsing, sometimes without even practicing. And still she won. The track was honest like that. On the tennis court, Coco learned strategy, angles, spins, patience. On the track, there was no hiding. No opponent to read. No net to blame. Just a straight path forward and the quiet challenge of the stopwatch. It measured not just speed, but courage. How much of yourself were you willing to give before the finish line arrived? When Coco talks about track and field, she doesn't sound like someone reminiscing about a hobby. She sounds like someone remembering a parallel life, one that could have unfolded if a single decision had tilted the other way. She imagines herself in Olympic spikes instead of tennis shoes, standing in a stadium where the air hums with anticipation. The lanes stretch out like choices, each one equally daunting, each one demanding total commitment. There are no rackets here, no rallies. Just the starter's pistol and the promise that everything will be decided in seconds. Maybe she's a 400-meter runner, her stride long and powerful, carrying the endurance her mother once trained for. Or maybe she's something else entirely, an athlete shaped by speed, rhythm, and fearlessness. Someone who runs not away from pressure, but directly into it. Track is unforgiving. It doesn't reward hesitation. You can't pause to rethink a step or replay a mistake. Once the race begins, the only option is forward. That simplicity is what makes it beautiful and terrifying. Tennis taught Coco how to fight point by point. Track would have taught her how to surrender to motion. In both sports, the body becomes a language. Muscles speak before words do. Breath becomes a negotiation between desire and reality. And in both, greatness demands the same thing: belief before proof. Coco knows that belief well. It's the same belief that carried her onto the world's biggest tennis stages as a teenager, unafraid of names stitched into history books. The same belief that told her she belonged, even when doubt tried to sit beside her. That belief doesn't change with the surface beneath her feet. Clay, grass, hard court, or rubberized track, it remains the same. Sometimes she wonders what it would have felt like to hear her name announced not as a tennis prodigy, but as a runner. To feel the tension of a stadium holding its breath for 10 seconds instead of 3 hours. To win, or lose, by a fraction so small it's almost invisible. But life doesn't give us every lane. Coco chose tennis, and tennis chose her back. The racket became her voice. The court became her classroom. The sport shaped her not just as an athlete, but as a thinker, a leader, a young woman learning how to stand tall under the brightest lights.